Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Chan, and I'm the co-founder of Final Bow for Yellowface. Welcome to What's the Tea? A daily conversation with a dancer of Asian descent during the month of May for Asian Pacific Heritage Month to highlight the achievements and experiences of Asians in dance. Today, we have a very special guest hailing from the Washington Ballet Lope Lim, who is also raising money for the Washington Ballet's Corona Relief Fund. So Lope, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
So you're obviously you're not dancing at the moment. What was sort of on the program for you at the Washington Ballet, and what are you missing right now, and kind of how are you doing? Just checking in.
Well, definitely nostalgic and kind of a weird time, but right now we would have been dancing Swan Lake, which is a bummer. I was really excited for that. And then we were gonna go on tour to Chautauqua, but yeah, we've been putting that on hold for now. But definitely, I think I've been missing just making new work. I think that's for me the most fulfilling part is just getting in the studio and figuring things out and working with choreographers to make things. The whole creative process, I think for me, is something that I've been really missing so much. And yeah, just figuring out all the kinks and trying to make something meaningful.
Are you finding another outlet for that right now in your life?
Yeah, I'm playing a lot of guitar. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of music do you play?
Um, Typically, like my dad plays a lot of classical stuff, so I learned classical stuff, like old Spanish music, and just like
Beautiful.
yeah.
It's actually classical guitar is one of my favorites. So
Mhm.
that's and how do you find that complements your dancing?
I think just the appreciation for music. I think I don't think I could live without music, and I think that's definitely one of the first things that draw me into dance. I think music always comes first, and yeah, especially classical music, to be able to play the things that you do dance to, it helps you like develop a better understanding too of like just the way it works, and to actually feel the music coming from yourself. It's completely different to dancing with it.
I find that the smartest dancers and choreographers I've worked with are very they know how to read music. They're very literate. Um, Really, when I see a choreographer literally pull out the score and like look through it to see the
Yeah.
layers, I have so much respect because it shows me that they have that curiosity and that they want to understand um, what they're working with at all levels, as opposed to some people who just might like turn on the song on their
Yeah, yeah.
Spotify and be like, "Oh, I like the song. I'm gonna make a dance to it," So it's slightly it feels a little deeper for me. So so music came first for you. Tell me about how you started dancing and what you know what was that journey like?
um well, originally in the Philippines I was like a break dancer, like a street dancer, and I would just like dance in my house or at my school. I was like a b-boy. And then my mom, she took me to this dance school, and they were like, we will let you use the studios and you can take all the classes for free, but you gotta take ballet 3 times a week. So, and they also gave me free lunch. So I was like, you know what, like this is such a good deal. I can just go here, get some free lunch, like take some ballet class. That's it. And
Yeah.
slowly, you fall in love with how just challenging it was. I remember I thought it was just the hard, like so hard, and I would see the older dancers, and they looked so, they were. I've never seen dancers before, of ballet dancers before, and I just I fell in love with the challenge and and how hard it was. Yeah.
So where did you grow up? Tell me more about your hometown.
I grew up in Manila, Philippines. Um, it's a I grew up on like the kind of like south side of it, so near the Manila Bay, and yeah, it was a nice little like area. Everyone kind of knows everybody in Manila, and ballet's not the biggest thing in Manila. It's very hard to find, but yeah, I grew up there. I was raised there completely, and I moved away when I was 13 years old to pursue dance.
Okay. And where did you move after that?
I moved to I think I started my first was in New York. I went to Alvin Ailey to the
Oh, Vanilla.
little boys program. And I
My alma mater. So,
really
uh-huh, yeah. Many years ago,
awesome.
probably like 20 years before you. But so at what point did you decide that you wanted to be a professional dancer? Like when did it really connect for you?
Um, I think probably like a year into my ballet training. I uh, I knew that that was the thing that made me the happiest, and I just love dancing. I don't know. It's I knew that was the feeling that I wanted to feel every day, and I would do all this stuff for free. So if I could have this as my living and career, I no question, I dedicate my whole life to it because it really is like the best feeling in the whole world, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, no question. I think I knew as soon as I started putting on the shoes and the tights, I was like, okay, this is it. Yeah.
This is it. So talk about how you talk about your ethnic and your cultural heritage from the Philippines. To what degree are you still connected to it now here in America, and how does it inform your process and your work as an artist?
Ooh, good question. Um, hmm. I'm Filipino. Both my parents are Filipino, raised in the Philippines. Um, and it's something I'm immensely proud of, and I'm very much connected to it. I speak Tagalog proudly, and I, it gets a little rusty sometimes when I'm in the States for a long time, but no, I'm very much connected to it. It's as for my work, I think it makes me wanna work harder and be better because I want to represent the Philippines in a good way, and like I want to show that there are like good ballet dancers coming from the Philippines, and that there is ballet there, which especially from the Philippines, it's a very like conservative society. It's not ballet is not the most popular thing, but I want to make people proud, I think. And I feel like there's a degree of like responsibility sometimes because I had a lot of friends back home who wanted to be doing what I'm doing now, but just because of, privilege or opportunity, you know, they didn't have the chances that I did. So I feel like I want to, to fulfill my own dreams, but, I also feel that I'm, fulfilling the dreams of my friends who, didn't have the same chances that I did. And yeah, it grounds me, I think, and makes me appreciate everything that I have because not everyone had the chances I did back home.
So how would you compare with having a career in the United States versus having a career in the Philippines? I know there's a few classical companies in the Philippines as
Yeah,
well, have been in the news lately
yeah, yeah, yeah.
with some a little bit of drama, but so tell me more about the kind of difference here in America versus in the Philippines and what that experience is like for you.
Um, well, art. I think art careers in general in the Philippines aren't the most popular or supported. It's not like shunned upon, but it's sometimes it can be hard to find support for that. They want you to usually be the doctor or the lawyer, or the nurse. Um, it's yeah. So to have, especially for men, to choose a career in ballet, it's the salary is usually very low, and it's not very popular.
It's
So
hard to support a family, if you're
yeah,
expected to support,
yeah,
a
yeah.
family, you can't do it while being a dancer.
No,
So
you can't, and I knew that if I wanted to pursue this career and really give it my best, and I really needed to go abroad, and obviously someday I would definitely want to go back to the Philippines and do some work there and really show them that this is a real career, and it deserves the same kind of appreciation as every other career. um and I want arts education in general, I think back in the Philippines needs to improve, and but yeah, it's not. I don't think I could have made a life for myself just from ballet. I'd probably need to take up some other jobs just to make ends meet. And here, I can support myself and just by doing ballet. So that was it was kind of it was a complete like no brainer for me. You know, if I wanted to really give my all to this, I needed to, you know, leave home.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about how you think we're doing in general as a ballet community in terms of how we represent race, especially here in America.
Mhm.
So obviously you have experience being an Asian person in an Asian majority space. So you know everybody's Filipino around you, and
Yeah.
you know like you're that's one side of the world. And then here in America, there may be chances where you're the only Asian person or one of very few in a room, you know, in the minority. So um, in general, looking at your experience in both places in terms of ballet, how do you think we're doing in terms of how we represent race in general?
Um, I think definitely heading in the right direction. You know, obviously there's, you know, going to be those ballets, Nutcracker, obviously. It's a problem, a lot of it. But definitely I think everyone's moving in the right direction. You know, Washington Ballet alone, you know, I dance, you know, Chinese man like most of my shows, and that role in itself might through my time at the Washington Ballet has changed, you know, so much because, you know, I don't want, you know, you don't want to be doing something that feels uneasy, and you know, especially when I'm representing a culture that's not my own. You know, I don't want to be disrespectful, and I don't want to appropriate anything. So you know, we changed the fingers, and you know, the bobbing movements, and we had facial hair. We cut that, and we cut a lot of things that were just, you know, not really adding
It's
to the,
11h15.
sorry, my things talking, but we cut a lot of things that were not really adding to the, you know, the piece, that weren't completely necessary. You know, I think there, you know, there can be, I've never felt that it's like wrong, but I think there can be better solutions to performing that piece.
Yeah,
There can be better ways of doing it, and it was, you know, and we've discussed it within the company, and we've had talks after every show. Okay, we should change this. Let's cut the facial hair. Let's change the hat, or let's not do the fingers. And yeah, it's a I think it's heading in the right direction. You know,
it's a process. It's
yeah,
slow. Change,
it's slow.
this
It's
kind of
slow.
change is slow. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people think that like, you know, for change to be successful, it has to happen immediately. But
Mhm.
that's not always
Yeah.
how it happens. It's sometimes a little slower like this.
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you tell me about how your feelings, you know, since you bring up Nutcracker and the Chinese dance,
Mhm.
how did your feeling of dancing it change with the changes that they made in terms of the how they changed the costuming, the makeup,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
choreography? How did your feeling of dancing it as the
Oh,
performer change?
oh, completely. You know, I don't want to be, you know, feeling kind of weak on stage and feeling that I'm offending people, you know, especially like dancing Chinese and to represent that culture. You know, I want to feel strong and feel proud of what I'm doing. And you know, before I really didn't. I felt like I was kind of going on stage, you know, like kind of uneasy, and you know, and now I definitely,
Why uneasy?
because I knew, like the first time I did it, and we went and they put me in the makeup chair and they draw the kind of, you know, this mustache and the long beard, and I was kind of like, I don't know, it didn't feel right, you know, because I knew that that was I felt like a caricature, you know. It didn't feel like I was presenting that culture in a good way, and I knew that internally. But obviously, when I started, I didn't want to, you know, speak out because I was just kind of starting with the company, and you know, I
Sure.
didn't want to speak out of place. But you know, I think there's a balance, because you know, you want to do what's right, but also there's you know, I don't want to be aggressive, and I don't want to be saying, oh, this is not right, this is not right, you know, but like maybe offer. I think it's about like offering alternatives, and instead of, you know, like confronting, and you know, I don't think it should be a confrontation. I think it should be a discussion,
Or
you know.
like a call out kind of
Yeah, yeah,
situation.
kind of, you know.
Yeah, that's really been a lot of our work with this yellow face
Mhm,
conversation is we're not coming to it to kind of call out and be angry about it, but we're
mhm,
really trying to say, let's talk about other
mhm,
solutions. We're
mhm,
really trying to be solutions focused.
mhm, mhm.
So, you know, and thank you for pointing out the fact that there is this power dynamic that's at play. So even though you have Asian dancers in the room, you might not always be getting honest feedback from them because there's this power dynamic that
Mm-hmm.
makes their voice unequal, and they
Mm-hmm.
might not be willing to share. So that has been such a common theme across a lot of the interviews we've had already this month.
Yeah.
So it's really great to be able to hear that message that as dancers, and I think this is regardless of race, you know, if you're uncomfortable with any situation, it's really hard to go forward to talk about it, whether it's a racial issue, whether it's sexual harassment, whether, you know, anything, because there's this feeling that if you speak up, then, oh, he's difficult. Oh, well, maybe
Yeah.
we don't
Yeah.
promote him. Oh, well, maybe we won't cast him. Maybe we won't bring him on this tour,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
he's a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. You know, you want to be a good
Um,
employee, but you know, there's some, you know, you got to stand up for, you know, what's right sometimes. And yeah.
so that's such a great story, and I'm so glad that you feel much more comfortable
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
performing the Chinese dance now,
Yeah.
and that, you know, it's sometimes so few, like such little changes can make such a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I think the way you look now with a clean face is so much more handsome and like would be more joyful than
And
something. Do you know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
for sure.
you
I
know, so I don't think we need that anymore in the
mm-hmm.
21st century, you know. But so just going back, thinking about your career now and how you
Yeah.
got here, what advice would you have for young dancers who um, maybe are similar to you in your background and want to pursue a career, but face some of these same issues of that you've overcome to get to where you are? What advice would you give them if they know they have to do this?
Um, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, putting in the work, but I think it's really, really important to have a deep sense of gratitude for everything in every step of the way of, you know, your career. I think that's what I've been trying to work on, and that's what I think I should have worked on my whole, but I didn't. Is taking moments to just step back and be thankful for what you do have, and you know, we work so hard and we're so hard on ourselves that it's so easy to take things for granted and so easy to lose sight of all the good things that you have, and you know, but to dance every day and be conscious of, you know, how awesome it is, and you know, be grateful for that is so important, I think. And it's important to build that mental health part, you know, instead of always being so hard on yourself, because I feel that, you know, for so much of my time as a dancer, I was way too hard on myself, and I kind of sometimes put myself in a hole, and you know, it was you know, it was unhealthy, you know, sometimes. And I think that it's important to have that sense of gratitude, and I think yeah, that's super key into into helping me, you know. And I would tell that, especially when I think of, you know, the little boy back in the Philippines, you know, who's really having a hard time, you know, and he's um the opportunities aren't coming his way. But you know, it's so important to be thankful, you know, because
Yeah,
there's no point in being hard on yourself for no reason,
that's
you know.
beautiful. Thank you. Now, obviously, we're here in the middle of this coronavirus pandemic. Everybody is suffering, and uh, coming out of it, we're going to need more art. We're going to need it
Yes.
more than ever to kind of rebuild. So, in your opinion, from your perspective, what do you think we need to do as an arts community, as a dance community, in order to build a larger, more loyal, younger, more inclusive audience for dance, so that this feels like a part of everybody's life?
Okay. Um, well, so younger audience, I feel like I can relate to that too, because well, I just turned 19, and um um I feel that, you know, I've always gravitated towards the newer stuff, the new works, and with the new music or revising the older choreographies, because I think, don't get me wrong, I love the classics and I love the, you know, the war horse ballets, and I love all that stuff, but sometimes I think, you know, performing a lot of the old ballets only, and you know, it can be a little dated, and there's, you know, a disconnect, from my generation to that, it's hard to relate sometimes. And even though we try, but it's not engaging
Well,
to
tell me why. Tell me why, because
um,
maybe some people out there listening won't
yeah.
understand what that means. So what would like give me an example of how a warhorse ballet might not connect with somebody your age.
um it's especially if you don't know ballet and you don't really know the storyline, and also if the music, you don't really relate to that music on a level, just because of the way you're raised, you don't relate to that kind of music. It can be disconnected and the story doesn't make sense to you, it or it just it just there's you can't relate on that level because you grew up differently and it's just a completely different time, so um
So for example,
yeah,
like Giselle might not mean anything,
unless
you
it's
know.
unless it's put in a different way. I think it obviously, there's definitely some meaning, but sometimes there can be a little bit of a alienation, maybe, you know just because just because it can be, very,
It's inaccessible or it
yeah,
feels,
a little bit.
yeah.
It's hard to explain. I try to it's I think also my, the new generation, they want always new things and, exciting things. So sometimes it's hard for them to appreciate, the old works. But, I think they would, if we can, like catch them in with some new works, like if you can entice them, or like if you can engage them in something that's fresh and exciting, you know because they would have a connection to that, and then from that on they could build a connection to the older works, but to introduce them to the older works first, it might be, a little bit strange to them and they wouldn't understand it. But to, present them some choreography that's new, and that with music that they can relate to and they can connect to, that'll, get them thinking and get them, excited to watch more ballet. And that's what, every time I introduce my friends to ballet, I always try to show them new stuff, and then I then we lead on to older stuff, or you know stuff like that. Yeah.
I think that's a very smart strategy. Um,
Yeah.
I remember one of my pre-coronavirus highlights was seeing Kyle Abraham's piece for New York City Ballet. I
Mhm.
think it was maybe last season or 2 seasons ago, and he used Kanye's music and he had these beautiful
Yeah.
costumes, and it was just, it felt like the building was shaking and the dust of the centuries was like falling off of the State Theater, like it was. But and when it finished, everybody in the orchestra was sort of like politely clapping, all the
Yeah.
donors, but like everybody sitting up was like screaming like it was a rock
Yeah.
concert.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And so it was like, um you start there and then you can go back
Yeah. You
to
can. Yeah.
seeing something else where people are doing Corsair and they're doing crazy tricks and you're like, whoa, you just did like 12
Yeah.
pirouettes, that's,
Yep.
but you have to build backwards kind of.
You have to
Yeah.
go back because the appreciation, sometimes it takes time,
Yep.
especially, in this, especially today. Yeah.
So I wanted to close us off with a lightning round of just some
Mhm.
flash questions
Cool.
for you.
Cool.
So give me like 1 or 2 word answers of like,
Yeah.
okay. So first of all, like dream role.
Ali Corsair.
Okay. Ballet crush.
Oh, um, Natasha Mayer.
What company?
Vienna State. Vienna State.
Okay. Um, what is your Corona like guilty pleasure right now?
Tiger King.
Okay. Um, what is the go-to quarantine dinner that you've been cooking for yourself?
Oh, fish tacos. Fish tacos.
How are you dealing with taking class inside?
I take class on my porch in the sunlight.
And what is um, what is something that you want to do with dance that's bigger than yourself?
I want to help the Philippines and show them that it's a real career.
Great. Speaking of helping other people, can you tell us a little bit about what you're raising money for today so that people, if they're listening and they feel inspired by your story and they want to support you and the company, how can they do that?
Well, you guys can go to WashingtonBallet.org and donate to our Stronger Than Ever campaign. It'll help us keep dancing into the next season and help us make every production the same level that we always like it to be. So thank you guys so much.
Awesome. Well, Lope, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me.
Thanks
And
so
thank you to all of you who are tuning in at home. Make sure to check out our Instagram page right now for the reveal of who tomorrow's Dancer Chat will be, and tune in with us at noon Eastern time for our next conversation. Lope, thank you again.
Thank you so much
Looking
for having
forward to seeing you dancing soon at the Washington Ballet when this is all over.
me. Thank you, Phil.
Yep.